All right, welcome class to week 5, day 4 expectations. In this video, we're going to be going over the close reading as well as the expectations of what I'm hoping for you guys to get done today. Just like the other videos, I will be doing the close reading after the expectations, so if you don't need me to read the material along with you, then you can skip over that part. However, you can also join me for that part. All right, let's dive into the expectations. Very first thing is our close reading on pages 13 through 15 of the PDF. After that, I want you to answer these questions 1, 2, and 3 in complete sentences. Describe the ways that the respiratory system cleans the air that you breathe. What are the functions of the trachea? And then after, I want you to do this activity and then answer the question. But put your face close to a mirror or window and breathe hard and quickly. What happens to the mirror or glass? Explain how and why this happens. Again, as a reminder of how to answer a question completely, I need you to 1, make sure you are answering the question, 2, giving evidence that supports your answer, and then 3, explain how your answer supports your evidence, or how your evidence supports your answer. So those are the 3 parts of answering a question completely and using complete sentences. After that, you need to have 2 pages of notes on your biography person about their legacy, impact, and influence. This is different than looking at their accomplishments in one way, in that you are looking at how their legacy, impact, and influence affected other people as opposed to how their accomplishments affected their own life. So I need you to see what area that they did their accomplishments in, such as like a famous mathematician, how did their math support other people's learning or stuff like that. Basically, how did their impact and influence affect other people is what I want you to focus on. In addition, I need you to complete any math homework from Miss Moore, review and practice movements from mystery class, and then make sure that you guys are moving today. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, close reading, quite a bit of information there. Answer the questions in complete sentences, and then make sure that you're caught up on your biography person. All right, let's dive into the close reading. The trachea is sometimes called the windpipe. This sturdy tube connects the nose and mouth to the lungs, with a few important stops along the way. The first stop is some life-saving flaps of tissue that keep air going down one side of the throat to the lungs and food headed to the stomach through the esophagus where it belongs. The windpipe and esophagus both open below our mouths and our throats. Bad planning? Not really. It's efficient when body parts can do more than one thing, like the throat and liver, for example. The soft palate is the mushy part at the back of your throat, back of the roof of your mouth. You can feel it with your finger. When you swallow food, it pushes up against your nasal passage, opens down into the throat so food doesn't go up your nose. Have you ever sneezed food or drink out your nose? If yes, you probably ate quickly while talking and breathing and your body couldn't keep up. A little further down the throat, the opening to the windpipe is in danger of drowning in your soup. Luckily, the epiglottis covers it up every time you swallow. If you're eating in a hurry or not paying attention, the epiglottis can get overloaded and you'll end up with food down the wrong pipe. This will make you cough hard and usually hurts. Your body rejects solids and liquids that mistakenly go down the windpipe. Just below your chin is the larynx, a part of the trachea. The larynx, sometimes called the voice box, doesn't help a person breathe, but it takes advantage of the airflow. Humans have the unique ability to form all kinds of sounds, such as laughter, screams, very complex languages, humming, sobs, etc. In the larynx of the cartilage, support folds also made of cartilage that works sort of like a reed instrument. High sounds are produced when the folds are pulled tight and thin by the muscles that control them. Low sounds are made when the folds are more relaxed and further apart. Men have thicker vocal cords than women, so their voices are lower. Here's another way that the respiratory system cleans the air that we breathe. The trachea, windpipe, is covered with tiny microscopic hairs called cilia, which help filter the air we breathe. Cilia move back and forth as we breathe and move the mucus in the windpipe up towards the nose. When the mucus collects in the nose passage, the nose sometimes becomes clogged. This can cause the nose to itch and sneeze. Sneezing blows mucus, dirt, and germs out of the nose. The trachea also adds water vapor to the air you breathe. Just before the trachea enters the lung, it divides into smaller tubes. These tubes are called the bronchi. Each bronchial tube is a gateway to a lung. Humans have 2 lungs, and inside of each, the bronchi divide into smaller and smaller tubes that fill the lungs. At the end of these tubes are microscopic air sacs called alveoli. Each lung contains millions of alveoli. The walls of the alveoli are very thin, so thin that oxygen can pass through them and enter the bloodstream. This is how oxygen enters the circulatory system and is carried to all parts of the body. We have followed the path of air and of the oxygen into the bloodstream, but breathing is a two-way street. We breathe in and then we breathe out. When we breathe in, or inhale, oxygen is removed from the air. Breathing also removes waste from the lungs and from our noses and mouths. How does this waste material get into the air that we breathe out, or exhale? The thin walls of the alveoli actually have two purposes. When we breathe in, oxygen passes through the walls of the alveoli and into the blood. Carbon dioxide and water vapor then travel to the opposite direction. They are the main waste products that pass from the blood vessels in the lungs into the alveoli through the windpipes and out the nose and mouth. There is one more part to the story of how we breathe. How does the air get in and out of our bodies? The muscles that make it all happen is a sheet of muscle located just below the lungs called the diaphragm. When we breathe out, the diaphragm moves upwards towards the lungs, and the ribs, the bones that surround the lungs, move inward. The space inside the ribs that the lungs filled is called the chest. And as the diaphragm moves up and the ribs move in, the space in the chest becomes smaller and smaller. The pressure on the lungs squeezes air out of the lungs as they contract to take up less space. Then, as we inhale, the process reverses itself. The ribs move up and out, the diaphragm moves downward, and the space in the chest becomes larger. Air rushes into the lungs to fill the space that is open in the lungs, and they expand. When the lungs have expanded and filled the chest, the diaphragm begins to move upward, and the ribs begin their movement inward, and we exhale again. Alright, so that is the close reading. Again, trying to get our task done of answering these questions 1 through 3 in complete sentences. I hope you guys are doing well. I miss you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow in a new video.